A very good evening to everyone joining us today. I hope that all of you are doing great and are staying safe. And I warmly welcome all of you to yet another success story session of SLIIT Business School alumni. So for today's session, I warmly welcome our beloved Dean, Professor Samantha Telijagoda, and our beloved Mrs. Mano Valigodapola, Head of the Business Management Department. It is our privilege to have both of you joining with us today for today's session. And I warmly welcome our beloved staff members, fellow members of the alumni, and to all the students. So today's session is going to be really interesting, especially for everyone who is planning to excel in their corporate career, because in today's discussion, we will be covering all aspects from how to ace your interview up to how you can reach to the top. So please stay with us and until the end, and I can assure you that you will be able to collect some really good tips by the end of today's session. So to introduce myself, my name is Kusali, and I'm a proud graduate of SLIIT Business School and a very proud member of the SLIIT Business School alumni. I will also be today's moderator, and I'm grateful for this opportunity given to me. Before we kickstart today's session, I also want to speak a little bit about the Alumni Association. It was established in 2017, and we have had so many events. We will be talking about it much later. But I also want to take this chance to tell all of our graduates to please join our alumni because it will open up you to a massive network of opportunities. I don't know if you've heard of the phrase that says your net worth is equal to your network, and I can assure you that it is 100% accurate, and the benefits that you can get by using your contacts in your corporate journey is endless. So please make use of this opportunity. Right, so now I'm ready to reveal today's success story at SLIIT. He graduated in 2015 and has raced to the top and aspires to work at some of the top Fortune 500 technology companies that leads the strategic roles specializing in growth and marketing. So please welcome Usaith Uwize, who is currently the Business Development Manager at Hitachi Digital Payment Solutions. So hello Usaith, how are you? How have you been?
Hi Kusali, it's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. It's wonderful meeting you and the fellow folks over here as well.
Likewise, great. So Seth, before we proceed, I also want to let everyone know here that the chat box is open, and if they have any questions, all of you can drop them there, and once, when it's towards the end, I will be asking all of them from you. Right, Seth, are you ready to start today's session?
Yeah, sure, Kusali, I'm all excited.
Right, okay, so let's get started. So Seth, can you please give us a brief introduction about yourself and about how you came to be where you are today?
Sure. So before I start introducing myself, I would like to thank the SLIIT Business School, the Alumni Committee, and special thanks to Professor Samantha, Mano Miss, Chalni Miss, and the President of the Alumni Society, Buddhita Jagoda, for organizing this and having me be a part of this. I feel really privileged to be here to share my opinions and share some insights with the students and the alumnus. So basically, to give a brief introduction into myself, in terms of my education, I started off with my primary and the early stage of my secondary at Amal International School. And then I later joined Gateway College, Colombo for my higher studies. And while I was there, I was looking to do a degree in business management, and I was evaluating various universities across Sri Lanka. And what really resonated the most with me was SLIIT. I had the opportunity of speaking with some of the seniors at that time. So I chose a business management degree program at that time, and we had Sheffield Hallam. So and then I joined SLIIT for my higher education. And while I was in SLIIT in my second year, I started working for Red Bull, and that was actually my first job. And I was there for about 1 year. And since I wanted to focus on my third year, I opted out of work, but at the same time, I got the opportunity of being one of the interns for the Fast Track 15 program, which was organized by John Keels, HSBC, and Ceylon Tobacco Company. So I was one of the 15 interns that was chosen among about 800 applicants. That was a very eye-opening internship where I was exposed to various industries in a short period of time. And after I graduated, I had the liberty of working for a startup consultancy company that specializes in management consultancy and HR consultancy. And after a short gig over there, I joined Sluscom. which is the Sri Lanka Association of Software and Services Companies. It's basically the chamber of IT and the BPM industry. Over there, I was involved in key strategic projects in growing the IT industry. In SLASCOM, I had the opportunity to work with some of the top CEOs of Sri Lanka and the leading companies and the government and non-governmental organizations in the country. After SLASCOM, I joined DMS. DMS is one of the oldest IT companies in Sri Lanka with about 40 years of heritage. So I joined there as a sales and marketing specialist. I helped sell and promote global products like brands like Oracle, HP Inc., Microsoft, and various other brands. After spending some time over there, I joined Mitra Innovation, which is a UK-based company that specializes in digital transformation and digital enablement. Over there, I was heading the channel and partnerships and looking at the market development aspect across APAC, Europe, US, and UK. And recently, I joined Hitachi Digital Payment Solutions. Over there, I'm working with some of the leading companies in helping them implement and harness some of the latest fintech solutions.
Wow, so that's a really great and solid intro. So I just want to ask, what was your SLIIT University experience like, and how did it help you to get where you are today?
So in terms of my SLIIT experience, what really comes to my mind is the bus rides I used to take. I really enjoyed them. I mean, like, it was one time I really enjoyed music. I haven't been able to enjoy music ever since I graduating, you know.
Yes,
but apart from those fun memories, one thing about SLIIT is that it has been really eye-opening for me. The reason being is that SLIIT has been able to give me a perfect blend in terms of theory and practical application. I had the liberty of learning from some of the best lecturers. Some of them had the exposure of working for top companies like British Telecom. Some of them have worked for some of the leading global hotel chains, and most of them had the global exposure. So along with the content of the program, they were also able to bring this insight in terms of the global context. And that has aided well in my professional career. And while doing all of these, while SLIIT has been helping me build my skills, enhancing them, helping in terms of building my strategic thinking, they have been doing this in a very creative manner. One such project that I can remember in the early stage, I mean, I think it was in the first year, the first semester, Professor Teekshana, he had us do an assignment, a project, which I still can remember as if it was like yesterday. So he made us go around the shops outside the proximity of the campus, like in about 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer radius around Malabe and maybe Kaduwela. So these were all like, you know, food joints, stationery. So he had us go there, and then he wanted to us, you know, like ask questions from them in terms of their problem. Initially, some of us had a problem in terms of, you know, speaking English, and then we had like, you know, and they were like wondering what the hell was happening, you know. And then anyways, we were able to relate to them and see it's a project, and you know, then they were like, okay, you're studying, and they shared some of their problems. And when we came back with what we found to the lecture panel and presented, we were specifically asked not to think of big things, and we had to give granular level solutions that are like realistic. And apart from that, I also remember Miss Mano very well. You know, her lecturing, she always made it a point to take us onto the stage and, you know, make us talk and give our opinions as well. And whenever, and she made it sure that it was always interactive, like the students, I mean, because I was known to being seated in the back row. So she always made sure that we were in the front row, and, you know, they got us to ask the questions and also share the insights with them. So SLIIT has been really helpful in terms of building me who I am today.
Right, even for me, SLIIT has some of the best memories of my life. And honestly, that's what makes us who we are today, isn't it? It's all a part of that journey. Definitely. So earlier you said that you started your career in the second year, right? So what made you want to start working at such a young age? Like, if it's okay to ask, how old were you, and how did you kickstart it?
I think I was about 19 or 20. and there was a logic as to how I picked my career as well. So by the time I finished my first year, I had a certain insight in terms of what marketing was, what finance was, what HR was. And by the time I completed my first year, I was able to relate and resonate best with marketing. So I knew I wanted to do something in marketing. So in that situation, with that mindset, I also started my sim. And while being in that mental state, I also got the opportunity of working for Red Bull through one of my mutual friends. So then it made sense. I have to take that opportunity because marketing was something that I wanted to do.
Right. So talking about opportunities and you having the options of like trying out and having experience in all these different areas, do you have any advice on career do's and don'ts? Now, I know that when we are young, it's like really confusing for all of us. We have no idea what we're supposed to do. So do you have any career do's and don'ts that you can advise everyone here?
That's a very good question. And to answer that specifically, I believe as students, even if you're a professional in any part of your career, what I've learned in terms of a big don't is like not to take things personal in the professional context, because when you go into a work environment, it's all about team building and working as a team. So it's all about putting the company first, taking care of the employees and adding value to the customers. So one good thing that would be is not to take things too personal and always put the company or the organization you're working for first. And the other definite do is be open to challenges. Because it is through challenges you also get opportunities. Because what's happening in today's world is careers are not linear anymore, it's non-linear. So you should be able to accept challenges, pivot, transition into a new role, and be agile in that manner. Apart from that, one thing that I also was lucky in that way is, which I also endorse other people to do, is find a mentor early on. Having that mentoring and coaching from someone either in your existing organization or either someone outside of your organization. It can be someone, it can even be some of your family member as well. So having a mentor really helps you bring a lot of clarity in terms of your professional and personal life. And what would take you 2 years to figure on your own, you can do it in 2 months. And apart from that, if you're going into a new job, or this can be a first job, or it can be a third or fifth job. One thing I've learned it's good to have is to have a 30, 60, 90-day action plan. So if you're new in your career and if you're walking into a new job or looking into transition into a new role, have a 30, 60, 90-day action plan. And if you don't know what it is, just hit it up on Google. It will help you onboard into your new role faster, and it will help you, start performing quickly at the early stage as well.
Right, right. So speaking of all of these, the goods and the bads, the do's and the don'ts, have you faced any obstacles when it comes to your career, and how had you overcome them? Like, can you just give us a little brief of that?
Okay. So in terms of obstacles, being the eldest in the family, I didn't have the liberty of having a brother or sister to turn around to and ask for any advice. So one thing that I did early on, once I started going to SLIIT, is I started building my network. I started moving around with people. And as soon as I entered the professional workspace, I made it a point to build strong relationships with my peers, my bosses, and some of them are my mentors today, which I'm very fortunate for. And this has helped me, greatly overcome these challenges. But there were two main challenges which I really had to adapt to. Number one was I was first working for Red Bull, right? It's a FMCG company, and the career in FMCG company is it's very straightforward. You're an executive, senior executive, assistant brand manager. It's very crystal clear. But when you're playing a sales and marketing role or something like of a managerial role in a technology-driven company like an IT organization, it's quite non-linear. It's all about how much value you can add to the organization, and together with the organization, you can grow. So for me to transition from that linear way of thinking in terms of my career to a non-linear way of thinking was a bit difficult, but I had the mentorship that were able to guide me, like where designations don't matter. What matters is the challenge. What matters is the impact that you're creating. So that was one challenge that I was able to overcome. And the other was being in a tech industry, which is a high performance oriented organization with a lot of talented people spread across the globe, various time zones, and various different languages. It was important for me to understand various different cultures, sentiment, and at the same time to be able to articulate what I'm thinking and be assertive in terms of my decision making and communication. So luckily with SLIIT and the program that we had over there and the exposure it gave in terms of the global context, I was able to adapt to this early on.
Yeah, that is a really good answer, honestly. So I just want to ask you this too. Now we spoke about the mindset, right? When we have to have a proper mindset when we are at a workplace, because it's all about working smart, right? Not working hard. So what do you think is an important quality that someone should have to succeed in the workplace? Does that exist? Do you need something like that? What's your take on that?
They do. They should have it, but I don't think we can pin it down to one particular quality. But one, I mean, there were a few things that I learned over a period of time, and one particular thing that I really, really take to my heart, and which I learned when I joined DMS was my boss at that time, when he interviewed me and hired me, he advised that I mean, it's good to be humble. I mean, because humbleness is a quality that he portrays himself, and he wanted me to also accept it. So being humble is a very good quality in your professional workspace, because no one likes a know-it-all, right? And if you are a know-it-all, you're not going to be learning more and absorbing more and not going to be able to move forward. So being humble is very good. And the other is being open to challenges. And sometimes this may involve you to do something mediocre or mundane, and you might be like, this is not my job. I didn't graduate to do this. Like, I can remember when I joined Red Bull, I was supposed to cut paper clippings on a daily basis, and I get this much of papers, on
Oh
a
my
daily
God.
basis.
Okay.
So I had to go through all the papers, and I had to cut paper clippings of Red Bull being on the newspaper along with its competitors and stuff. So when I first started, I was like, I thought I was going to be a CEO when I graduated, right? But then, but it is those little things that I did that's really, really adding value in terms of what I'm doing today. And apart from that, as I said, I think it's the same thing as well. We have to be adaptable as well, rather than being rigid in terms of this is who I am, this is what I'm going to do. We have to be adaptable because the world is moving at that pace, right? I mean, if businesses say, no, we're not going to be doing digital businesses today because of COVID-19, no one's going to be having revenue, right? So it's good that as a person, as an individual as well, you're adaptable, because if you look at the world, the countries are adapting, businesses are adapting. So we as individuals also have to adapt. Apart from that, we have to be open to suggestions and ideas. As I said earlier, it's a team working environment. When we are in campus and we're in school, we kind of be a little bit competitive. We want the spotlight to ourselves. We want the lecturers, to talk all good about
Play
us.
favorites.
But when it comes to work environment, it's good to have an open be open to ideas and suggestions. And the other thing that I learned is, we should be able to delegate, because when we start our career early on, we'll be on the bottom, but when we're growing on to the top, we have to be learn to delegate. We shouldn't be holding all the responsibilities to ourselves. So we have to be able to learn to delegate. We have to start building that mindset. So if students out there, if you're having a project, learn to delegate with your team members, trust them, empower them and get them to do their part, and you do your part, but you all should work together. Delegation is something that will become really key to you all in your career. And as much as delegation is important, what comes hand in hand with that is we should be able to give credit to those that is due. So if someone does a good job, make sure that you give credit to them. These are some of the few qualities I think that are important in the workplace.
Right. So also, given your points, it's pretty obvious that today's workspace, like for jobs and everything, it's really competitive, right? So how do you think a person should face an interview? Because I feel like that is a big question all of our students have, especially with their first interviews coming up probably. So do you have any tips that you can share to ace an
That's a
interview?
very good question. I believe it will add a lot of value to our students. But what I believe, before you think about acing an interview, my personal advice, get your LinkedIn profile up and running. You might not have much to put over there. Google as to how to build a LinkedIn profile. Trust me, LinkedIn is the future. My current job, I got it through LinkedIn.
Same
So
here. Yes.
so it's weird. So LinkedIn is, I mean, so if you're on a social network like LinkedIn, have a nice profile picture, have a bio. At the moment, you wouldn't have much to talk except for your projects. But, start building a presence over there, start connecting with your alumni members, existing students, people who graduated from SLIIT. So first, maybe start with LinkedIn. And the second thing is, do a lot of Googling and researching in terms of how to sit for a job interview, right? Because what you need to understand is sitting for a job interview is not a prerequisite for you to get a job. It has become a skill today. I mean, my current job at Hitachi, the entire interviewing, the onboarding has happened online because of COVID. So it was all digitally done. So being able to interact with someone virtually is also something that we have to learn consciously. We shouldn't be taking these things for granted. So it's a skill that you all need to build, learn on it. But few things that I can give an advice is, number one, do your homework and do your research in terms of the company. Basically, your mindset has to be like as if you're already working for the company. And if someone were to ask you, what are you doing in that company or what does that organization do, you should be able to answer them. And there have been situations like where I've met people, where I've heard of stories where even the people who was being interviewed, they don't even know how to spell the organization's name. So these are
Oh,
like
no.
red flags for a potential interviewer. And the other thing is, it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. So have that in mind. And also turn your self-introduction into an elevator pitch. I think you all know what an elevator pitch is, right? An elevator pitch is basically giving a business idea in 2 minutes. So basically, it's good to give your self-introduction in 2 minutes as well. Anything more than that might bore the people. And also ask questions in your interview. It's not just about you asking your salary package or anything like that. You need to ask questions about, how your performance is going to be measured, who else is in your team, how will your career progress in 6 months, what's the learning onboarding cycle. When you ask key questions like this, the interviewer feels like you're very interested in the role and you're someone that can grow with the organization. And one other example that I would like to give you is my personal experience when I was being interviewed for the Fast Track 15 role. So I saw a lot of people going in for the interview, right? This was an internship, so there was about 100 odd people at a given time being interviewed. So these guys were like going in, and some of them like were coming after 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And when I went in, I was there only for 2 minutes. And then I came back home. I told my mom, Mom, I flunked it. I don't think I'm going to get this internship. And then 1 week later, I get this call. And I remember I even told this to Miss Mano as well once when she was in the lift as well. And when I went into the internship, I asked the HR manager who interviewed me. I mean, all the other candidates were there for about 10 minutes. I was there for less than 2 minutes. Why did y'all choose me? And what he told me was, we are so experienced in hiring people. We know who to hire when we see them in the first 2 to 5 minutes. So that is something that you all have to keep in mind as well. So you only get about 2 to 5 minutes in terms of maximum 5 minutes. I think it's only about 2 minutes of window to make an impression on who's interviewing you.
Right. Those were some really solid tips. Now I'm a bit curious to know actually, what these were what helped you be who you are today. Did you do anything apart from these that helped you in your journey? So what's your secret to success?
I don't think I did anything different, but but if I'm to look back and think of certain things that I did, there is one thing that I think I did right was when I was in my first year. I was a full scholar at that time. I was getting about 3.9 GB or something like that. But then I had to compromise, and I thought it made sense for me to do a job as well while studying. Luckily, I had the luxury, unlike my friends who were studying in various other places, to be able to transition into the weekend batch. So I think that was like really, really game changing for me, because I was studying and I was working at the same time. So I was able to apply those theories in my workplace, and I was able to take my workplace problems back to the lecture hall and ask questions from the lecturers. And by the time I graduated, I felt like I was market ready. And my chances of being employable skyrocketed. So I think that's one thing that I did different. And the other thing was, early on, with the guidance and the mentoring I had, I started believing, I still do believe in patience when it comes to your careers. You can't rush into certain things. Just because
Definitely.
someone else is running at 100 kilometer
Right.
speed doesn't mean that you had to run at the same as well. So I believe in sustainable incremental growth. So those two things have been really helpful for me in terms of where I am today.
Right. So that was a really good answer. So you were talking about compromise. So another curious question that I want to ask is, so there's this thing saying that there's a work-life balance. Is it real? Does it like happen? Is it like something we should look forward to? Is it something we should stress about? What's your take on this?
Uh, I mean, like, given today's context, I mean, like working from home and multiple lockdowns, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how true work-life balance stands anymore, but however, early on, about like even from the early part of my career, I believed in work-life integration, where it's not about work competing with life or life competing with work. It's all about both of them being able to work in hand. I mean, yes, it makes perfect sense to have our weekends for our family and stuff like that. But today's environment is different. I mean, we have WhatsApp, like people are not dropping emails anymore. They're just, messaging you about work. And when they see the blue ticks, they expect a reply from you, right? But at the same time, since I have been in the technology industry, I mean, technology companies, IT companies have been in the forefront in terms of work-life integration, and all the other industries are following suit of them as well. But I remember when I was working in Mitra, way before COVID, they had the work from home option as well. So at that time, we were able to take 2 days work from home every month. What I think is like, now, I mean, as much as, I mean, companies are like, really concerned about your performance more than what you're doing in terms of a day-to-day activity. So the culture in terms of how the workplace is, helping us in terms of work-life integration. But irrespective of it being work-life integration or work-life balance, it's very important for us to have a reality check in terms of our mental well-being. Given today's context, people are easily burnt out. So it's important for us to have a check on ourselves, our family members, and at the same time, we have to be sensitive towards our fellow students, our acquaintances, our colleagues, because we are living in a critical time these days. So it's very important to be able to respect each other's mental well-being and support them.
Right, right. So yeah. So talking about integrations, I just want to take a different turn and talk about networking. Now you told about that a bit earlier. What's your take on networking? Do you think it is important? Does it help better work-life relationships and to be more efficient? Like, is it about like knowing a person and, getting something done? How does it help you? Like, how
I
has
like the way how your questions flow and how they are connected. But in terms of networking, I believe networking is a single most important thing that I would pick out of everything. Apart from your communication skills and your personality, networking is something that's really helpful. Uh, and what I've learned is that, sometimes people who you meet down the line can also be the individuals who would also give you the job opportunities or the opportunities down the line as well. So SLIIT can be an ideal place for you to build this networking. I mean, don't confuse networking with building friendship, I mean, I remember when I was in SLIIT, in my first year, we had this freshers day and stuff like that. And there was this one particular individual, I'm not going to give out names over here. I think he was a senior, and he was into this K-pop or, pop and lock dancing and stuff like
right?
that. And he had a small small set that does that, and they were also featuring a dance move in the Freshers' Day. So he was like with beard, and he was like into the dance mode. Fast forward 7 years down the line, and I'm going for a meeting in one of the army head officers in Colombo. And here I see a gentleman seated in a reputable position, fully shaved, trim, and I'm about to say machan, like I'm like holding it to myself because there are other gentlemen over there. And then I was really surprised. And at that moment, I really learned, oh my God, you never know who you will meet down the line.
Right,
Someone
definitely.
who
Yeah,
you
yeah.
met would be like totally different. So it's very important, whoever you meet, even if you don't build friendship, have a mutual respect, treat them with dignity, because you never know when and where you will bump into and how they can really change your lives.
Right. Usaith, we have a question. Someone had asked, so should we do jobs while in the university? Is it a good idea? I think you're the best person to answer that question, given your
Uh,
success.
it depends on each individual, to be honest. I had some colleagues who didn't choose that and they are doing really well in their career. It really depends in what you're doing. But one advice I could say is like, if that is a good opportunity, if that is something you can learn, because the first 5 years, as Jack Ma said, from the age of 20 to 30, what's important is working in a workplace where you can learn. So if you really believe that you can learn and grow as an individual, and if you think that you will be able to balance. I myself, before I transitioned into the weekend batch or opted for a job, I actually got my advice from the lecturers as well, and they encouraged me to do it. So if you think you can balance both your career and your education, I personally think you should go for it.
Right, right. Right, Usaith. So let's
But
just
Kusali,
see.
but there were moments where I
Right.
forgot that there were assignment submissions. Like there was this
Oh,
one
yeah.
particular day I was walking into the lecture and my friend was like, "Did you study for the exam?" I was like, "What exam?"
Oh, no.
And I had only about 2 hours to catch up. But so there will be
Oh.
moments. So don't be like me, but be prepared, plan it well.
It's all about the mindset and being able to, balance everything out and just like being mindful,
Balancing is very important.
yeah, because like I feel like if you are trying to do something different than other people, you have to like really be mentally prepared to do something like that. Right. So let's just see if the audience has any questions to ask from us. Does anyone have any questions to ask? This would be the best time to ask. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just have a question. You said that networking is much better. So I just was wondering how we can properly build a network through LinkedIn, because on LinkedIn it's not properly like I really don't have a proper idea on how to build a proper network through LinkedIn and how it supports our career. Can you please like explain on that?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of, I assume you're still studying. If you are still studying, then it will be a bit difficult because, if you're having a job and stuff, it makes sense for you to list your workplace in LinkedIn. But you could start actually connecting with your schoolmates first, because when you go at your school, you could also see other people who have studied. And when you go enter SLIIT as the university, you can see people in that network. So maybe you can first start with people within your school network, your higher studies network. Start with there first, and as you slowly start growing into your career with years, you will start building the network for sure. It doesn't happen. Rome wasn't built in one day, but you first start connecting with people, and then at the same time, after some time, if there are things that interest you, if you want to write a blog, or if there's a certain content that you like, you can share with with your network. And at the same time, if there's something that you see interesting that someone had posted, feel free to comment. And also, in the meantime, it's also a good practice to start connecting with the HR managers as well.
Right. Do we have any other questions? Okay, so I have two more really interesting questions asked here in our chat box. So the first is it ever too late to succeed in your career? Does age affect how fast you can go up in the ladder? So that's something really interesting.
Uh, I don't think age will have an impact in terms of career. Age is just a number. I can remember like in my degree program, in my batch, when I was 18, there were individuals who were like 35, 38, who were already married and having children as well. So age is just a number. And today the world is moving towards a mindset like where I believe, Kusali, you would see it in your own workplace as well, like Daras, like they have a blend of young talent and stuff like that. So it's all about the value that you can add. As long as you can add value to an organization, and as long as you have the passion and dedication, I think you can keep moving forward.
Right, that's a very good explanation for that question. Okay, so the final thing, I bet this is like one of my favorite questions. Any advice that you wish someone had given to you when you were an undergraduate about corporate life?
So, I mean, I believe I got the right advisors at the right time. So, as I was saying earlier, being humble, that is something that I really take to heart today. So, more than anywhere, if you can be humble in your workplace, it will really, really help you a lot. You will
Definitely.
make good, you will build good relationships. You will be able to understand your customers better. So, being humble is something that I learned. And another that I learned from my one of my mentors early on is he always tells me when I was, so he basically told me this when I was in the third year of my degree program. He told me, do what others won't do today. Do what others won't do today. So tomorrow I can do what others can't do. So that is something that I really learned. So these two things are two of the advices that I have really taken to my heart. So whenever I am, in a crisis, I think about these two things.
Right. So we had one question that just popped in right now. I just want to know, do you have to have entrepreneurial skills when it comes to workplaces? Because honestly, when I saw this, I saw that especially in like job ads right now, they say you have to have entrepreneurial skills to do a specific job. What's your take on that?
When you asked me that question, I remembered the SLIIT open day, the first open, I think it was the first open day they had. And,
Right.
the business faculty wanted to have stalls and they
Okay.
wanted us to have some entrepreneurial related ideas. And then myself and my friends, we went and, nagged my father who was into the interior business. I got
Right.
all the stuff from his shop and set up shop. I remember like even in the degree program, they really, really nurtured a lot of entrepreneurial skills. I mean, like there was another situation where we had to build a product by ourselves, and our team members came up with the idea of ice cream. So that involved a lot of free sampling and eating our own ice creams as well. But we have to first ask ourselves, what does entrepreneurial skills mean? Entrepreneurial skills means, it's not just the skill, it's also the mindset, right? If you're an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to bend and pick up. Like, I mean, you can't say this is what I will do. You have to be flexible, agile. At the same time, it's also about problem solving skills. So entrepreneurial skill is not just one thing. So maybe we have to first learn what entrepreneurs do on a day-to-day basis, because what organizations need today is not managers or employees or executives. What they need is leaders who can drive things forward, who can contribute to the society, add value, and also create value for the organization as well.
Definitely, definitely. I 100% agree with you on that one. So I have a bit of an unorthodox question for you, but I know that the students here would really like to hear about this. What is your most fondest memory at SLIT? Something that you will always want to share.
So I have a lot of memories in SLIIT, but
Feel the tea.
if I were to filter them and to pick the ones that were important, I remember as I was saying earlier, we had this project. I mean, like where we had to come up with a business idea, and one of our folks, had the idea of a bicycle. And I was like the model to present the bicycle at that particular presentation. And I also have the memories of Miss Chalani calling me out so many times, to come and, write stuff on the board and things like that. And I also have this memory, again, going back to the first open day. I don't know where this idea came from, but I'm pretty sure Miss Mano and them remembers this. We were, and even President Buddhita Jagwada as well, we were asked to build a bridge
Bridge.
out of
Okay.
bridge out of wood and bamboo. I mean, like we wanted the students. I mean, there was a lot of students coming out from outside, from the outskirts of Colombo. So we
Okay.
wanted them to pass the bridge. I think there was a philosophical message to that in terms of
Okay.
or something like that. But I can remember spending 2 days and one night with the seniors and the batchmate building that bridge. So that was like one of the memorable moments. And apart from that, I did a lot of comparing and I had the opportunity of being a part with various societies in organizing all these events. So those were some of my memorable memories.
Right. So talking about memories, what made them the best were our lecturers, right? So I just want to ask Professor Samantha if he has anything to add to today's session. So do you have anything to say?
Yeah, thank you, Usaid. I think very nice to see you again. And I'm pretty happy today, actually. So that you are now playing a big role in the industry, and now you are a big person in the corporate sector. And I'm happy because you people were in our classes as kids, and now so you have grown to the the biggest level. I think so you can do a lot of things for the industry. This is, I think, just after maybe 6 or 7 years, right? 6 or 7 years after, so you are just playing such a big role. Okay, so let's say that I will also ask a question from you. So then you also try to give me a fair balance. I think this may be important for our student as well. So, what is the maybe as a, that a successful graduate as well as maybe a person in the industry? So the relationship you see that the successful business manager and the positive thinking. Smart.
Hi, Professor. So I'm sorry, I couldn't capture the last part, the success.
Yeah. My question is, so how do you see the relationship in between the successful business manager and the positive thinking?
Okay, so in terms of that, like early on, like even myself, I had the approach of looking at things as the glass was half empty. But when I started going forward in the career, things started looking more like the glass is half full, because you basically have to deal with the deck of cards play with the deck of cards that's already been dealt in a professional environment. For example, this COVID-19 situation, no one ever imagined this. So like situations like this arise. So when situations like this arise, it's what I've learned is, irrespective of our personal problems or what the society or the global country is facing, it's very important for an organization to keep moving forward, because there's a huge number of families and individuals depending on the organization. So in a situation like that, it's important. And sometimes, maybe we won't be able to build that positive thinking by ourselves. I think that is why it's important to have that network, that mentoring, because you can speak to people who are like-minded, and they will push you and push each other in terms of getting the right thinking and moving forward.
Yeah, thank you. I still remember that that attitudes you also had when you were in the classroom. That's why I asked that you had a lot of such kind of qualities. I remember. So I think that quality, I think, need definitely inbuilt in our current graduate as well and the future graduate as well. So that's why I asked that particular question. So thank you, Said. Thank you very much for, let's say, that having or sharing your this useful that knowledge with our the students. That I really appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You are such an inspiration to all of us. Now I want to direct towards Miss Manu and ask if she has any thoughts from her and to add any comments to today's session. Miss Manu?
Okay, Kusali. So this is unexpected. I never thought that you will ask a question from me. But anyway, Usaith, lovely to see you. So proud to see that, you're one of our graduates and you are there and I'm listening to you. That's, I think I'm humbled to see that you are there. And it's so nice, right? And Usaith, I don't know whether you can remember, once I told you, one day you will come in front of us and present something and we'll all listen. One day I told you. I don't know whether you can remember.
Thank you so much. It's all because of them who I am today.
Yeah, so the dream came true, and you said, it's glad to see that you are, moving towards a career ladder and becoming all-rounded person, and really appreciate that. But Usaith, I have one question, right?
Yes,
I think this will beneficial for the students who are here, right? So some of our students are having a thought, right? So they are thinking, if you become a marketing specialist graduate, or just imagine you are going to become accounting and finance specialist graduate, right? So they are thinking they will be going towards only that part, right? So you will be going to get a job in that particular part. So being in the industry, what do you think? Is it good to have this sort of narrow, attitude towards your career? Or do you have to be open-minded? What is your advice for them?
Yes, it's a wonderful question. As I was saying earlier, the career is not linear anymore. It's non-linear now. I mean, when I was doing my degree program, there was no program called business analytics or something like MSc in business analytics or anything like that. But now we have these new programs. I know my own batchmate. I mean, Miss also would know him as well. He had started off as a finance executive, then moved into a financial analyst. But now he is in a role where he is playing a business analyst role, advising sales and marketing professional in one of the leading FMCG companies in terms of how to better sell. So even I myself, although I started in the FMCG sector, I have slowly moved and transitioned into the technology space. And I also know friends who are like, I mean, they are lawyers, but now they are into sales and marketing. So I think it's very important for us to have an open mind and not narrow, because when we start narrowing down, what happens is we are also shutting the doors of opportunities as well. And sometimes I've also seen, I mean, like one good example is Steve Jobs, right? I mean, like when he was in Stanford, he went and took these calligraphy classes as a part-time thing that he just wanted to try out. And because he did those things, when he later started Apple, he was able to apply those learnings in terms of the fonts and things for the Mac OS. So similarly, what we learn today may be any field, finance, accounting, legal, or HR. With the right mindset, we will be able to adapt and apply it in a very beautiful manner.
Great, Usaith. Of course. I have another small question. I will quickly, without taking much time. So our students, some of them are doing 3-year degrees, some of them are doing 4-year degrees. So when it comes to the industry, what do you think? Is there a difference? Or how it like, is it matter about the number of years that you do your degree?
I believe, Miss, the 4th-year degree is a specialization, right? In some particular field, if I'm correct.
That's right. 3-year degree, like what you did, SHU, and we have Liverpool now. So, yeah.
So, I mean, it's a personal preference and my opinion might be subjective, but I believe if I had the choice, I didn't have the choice at that time. I don't remember why I didn't do that. But having a 4th-year specialization in a particular field would add value, I believe. So, I mean, it will be added qualification. I mean, but it's at the end of the day, it's about how well we can manage the time and things like that.
Great. Thank you, Usaith. Over to you, Kusali.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you so much, Miss. Thank you for being such an inspiration to us. I personally remember I really loved your classes, especially the ones after lunch. You were always one of the best lecturers who will not make us fall asleep, but make sure that everything goes to our mind. So thank you for all the great memories, Miss. Usaith, we have 3 more questions, so I hope you're ready to answer them.
Okay. That's good questions. People are interested.
Definitely. So the first thing is, so they're asking about networking, right? So they're asking, how can we build a proper network via LinkedIn? How does it direct towards careers?
Okay, so as I said earlier, it's not very direct with LinkedIn. You know, for you to start realizing the benefits of your investment in the time you spend in LinkedIn takes some time. So you can't immediately look for an ROI in terms of your LinkedIn investment in terms of your time and effort. But what you need to understand is a lot of people are posting jobs on LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure you would have tried applying jobs on LinkedIn as well. But the moment you apply your job post on LinkedIn, the first thing that the recruiter is going to do, since I have done some consultancy for HR consulting company, is they start looking at your profile picture. So, you know, first and foremost, get a nice headshot done. It's not that costly. You can go to any studio, get a nice picture done. It's a good investment for your future. Then, have a brief bio. If you're working anywhere, mention your organization, and in about 3 to 5 bullet points, mention the key activities you're doing. Don't spend too much of time explaining everything, because people only have about maximum 1 minute to just flip through your LinkedIn page.
It's another elevator pitch, right?
Yeah, another elevator pitch. Apart from that LinkedIn content that you're going to put on your page, as I said earlier, start building your network. Start adding your school friends, start adding your college mates, start adding people who are working in your office. And with time, you will start gradually building. So I can remember when I started my LinkedIn network, I only had about 20 people. Now it's standing at about 2,800. So it'll take some time. Don't rush it, but it's better to start now than later.
Right. So that makes perfect sense. The next two questions are directed towards strengths, right? So they're asking, what are the greatest strengths an individual can have to possess before applying for a job? So what is your take on that?
To have before applying for a job?
Yeah, what is the strength that someone could have?
Okay. I mean, if it's before a job, if you had asked me for the job, it would be a different answer. But since it's before a job, if you're applying for something, I think...
It's more like preparation, I guess. That's what they're trying to ask. Like, how do you prepare yourself?
Okay. In terms of the strength, you should be good at communication skills. Communication skills is not just you talking. You have to be able to articulate what you're thinking on your CV as well. The CV cannot be about 3 or 4 pages long. There have been so many sessions that the SLIIT Business School has done where they had recruiters doing special sessions on this. But join those sessions, learn from them. They know best as to what they're looking for in candidates. But in terms of preparation, we learn a lot about this SWOT and PESTLE analysis and things like that, right? Maybe it's a good time for us to take one of those framework and start applying it. There have been times where I have done a SWOT and PESTLE as well.
Trust me, I do the same thing too. So I relate to you.
But don't worry, you wouldn't want the Harvard referencing this time.
Definitely.
But it will be some, because it is these insights. Because when you go to, one thing that I make a point is, when I go to an interview or when I'm looking for a candidate, I want to learn something from them. So I have this habit of asking them, if you're in a particular scenario, what would you do differently and things like that. So it will be good for you to go with a mindset like, where I have 1 or 2 ideas where I can improve this better or something like that as well. So if you're applying for multiple jobs, prioritize carefully. Don't spend too much of time on one area. What you can do is first have a standard elevator pitch for a typical marketing role. And then, depending on which company you're applying for, you have to personalize it, and you have to personalize your CV as well. So that's very important. So you can be applying for a banking organization, you can be applying for FMCG. So the amount of research that's going to go is be different, right? You can't go and talk about banking with FMCG.
Exactly. Yeah, even I remember, even for my CVs, before I got this job, I used to customize it according to the company, and then my little bio that I used to change. So yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so we have a very interesting question here, and it's a very personal thing that they're asking. What do you think is your greatest strength, at the same time a weakness that you think has room for improvement?
The greatest strength that I have is, I believe I have a very adaptable mindset. I'm very flexible in terms of my thinking. I am not who I am in terms of how I was thinking 10 years ago. So I have grown, and I let the right people, my mentors, mold me. So you have to have a flexible mindset in terms of growing. And it's all about continuous learning, right? And I also made it a point to always continuously improve my communication skill as well. So that's going to be very helpful, irrespective of which language you speak. It can be English, Tamil, Sinhala, any language. You have to be able to properly communicate, articulate, listen carefully, and be very simple in terms of what you're trying to say. In terms of weakness, my personal weakness, I'm not that organized. I am known to taking only a pen to the campus. I always have my mom screaming, you only carry a pen with you. And most of the time I see it from my sister, So I'm not that organized, but then with work and when you become a manager, when you start growing in your career, you start learning all these soft skills. So when you join the right organization, you know, and when you do these right courses, you know, check out things on Coursera, check out things on LinkedIn Learning, check out things on Udemy and things like that. They have a lot of these courses on soft skills. So I believe we can learn these things. So I think those are my strengths and weaknesses.
Right, perfect. We have a lot of questions being shot at, but also I see Purni raising her hand. Purni, do you have any question to ask from Usaith? Purni? Okay, let's give her a minute and let's dive to the next question. Right. So they're asking, when it comes to business analytics, is it mainly based on one path? So if we love to learn about another path like marketing, how can we properly manage and go through on that field?
I'm not clear with that question. I mean,
okay, let me just read it to you again. When it comes to business analytics, is it mainly based on one path? So if we love to learn about another path, so they're asking like, so they're doing one, but they want to take another path like marketing. How can we properly manage and go through that field? So basically like how to balance it.
So I think that is a good way of thinking. I personally think that way as well, because
Exactly.
it's a personal opinion. Someone can have a different opinion. I look at building cross skills. So if you're into analytics and if you want to learn marketing, that's actually brilliant thinking. I mean, there are enough and more courses. You can maybe start off with what's available on YouTube. Please read the textbooks that your lecturers recommend you from your library first. Maybe you all can start with there. And then maybe once you have understand the basics of marketing, read a lot of blogs as well, because sometimes these blogs have modern ways of thinking in terms of marketing. And one good thing that if you're anyone interested in marketing is you all can research on the topic of customer experience. So what marketers today, what they are really talking about in today's environment is on the topic of customer experience, where technology, where traditional marketing and all these things are helping improve customer experience.
Definitely. Okay, so the final question, hopefully this is the last one. What would you do differently if you could go back in time? Very good question.
I mean, like, you know, I was recently telling it to my mentor. If I could go back in time, maybe I would study harder. But I don't think I would want to do anything differently. I mean, I think it's also something that I don't encourage. Like, you know, regrets is something that we shouldn't be having and advocating. But it's all about living in the now, the present. The power is in the now, not in the past, neither in the future. So whatever you're doing, give your 100%, may it be your work. One thing I can tell you all confidently is the projects would look hard. It would look tedious. It will look annoying, but trust me, it is these assignments that really teach you, you know, like for me personally, report writing skills, presentation skills. I mean, like whatever I've learned, I've basically learned from my degree program. So, you know, take it to heart and do them well.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that because I remember I was very nervous in my first year to do my presentations, but somehow when it came to the fourth year, I was okay. So I guess I have to thank SLIIT for that for sure. Right, so we are done with the questions. Thank you so much, Usaith, for answering all of them. So Buddhita, who is the president of our alumni, has a few words to speak. So Buddhita, over to you. Usaith, you're on mute.
Hi guys, Usaith, it's good to see you after a long time, and I still can remember the hyperactive you in class and making troubles to all these lecturers and students. And I must mention one point about Usaith, because Usaith is the one who had questions all the time, because he questioned various things from lecturers without even thinking whether it's good or bad. So because of that, lots of students survived. So I must thank you. I was one of them. And I think that's a good quality to all the students, because if you are having any questions, don't think whether this is wrong or right. Just ask it from your lecturer or whoever and get it clarified. So then it will give you some kind of valid to yourself, valid to your question, answer to your question, and it will shape up to the next level. So Usaith is one of that kind of person who always had questions. That's all actually I I can remember about you. So thank you very much, Usaith, and we are really happy that where you are today today as a proud alumni of SLIIT Business School. So thank you very much. And also I must thank you for accepting our invitation in a short period of time. And also Kusali, thank you very much for moderating the event, and you are doing a really good job.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much, Usaith, and we are hoping that you will definitely help us in the future to find out good job opportunities from your corporate, from your sector, to our students, business management students.
Thank you, Mudita. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mudita. So on a final note, before we wind up, Ms. Chalini, would you like to add a few final words?
Yeah, clearly. So actually, on behalf of the alumni committee, I would like to give a big thank to Seth for again accepting this invitation. And actually, this was a very interesting session. And also, Kusali, I would like to thank you for moderating this session in a very nice manner. And it was really interactive. And again, it's very useful. You asked a lot of useful questions from Usaith, as well as Usaith respond well. And apart from that, I would like to thank all the alumni members who supported this, including Buddhita, Anupama, and even Anuja and Ikuni for organizing and also for supporting to conduct this session today. And also, especially, I would like to thank Professor Samantha and Mrs. Mano very good for encouraging us to organize such events. So I wish you all the best, Usaith, and hoping to see you in a successful position in future. Thank you.
Also, I would like to invite all the students. Once you are graduated, you can enroll with SLIIT alumni. So you can get all the details from Ms. Chalini, or else we have our own page in Facebook as Alumni of SLIIT Business School. So feel free to join with the page, and you will get more job opportunities from there, because various people who have graduated from, like alumni who are working in corporate, they are sending their job opportunities directly to us. So we will be publishing all these things in the page, as well as we will be sharing to the databases that we are having. And from there, you can get really good opportunities to bright up your future. So inviting you all to join to alumni page as well.
Thank you, Buddhita. Thank you, Ms. Chalini. So guys, we have come to the end of today's session. I personally want to thank you, Usaith, once again for joining and sharing your story. You are such an inspiration, and I'm sure the tips that you shared definitely helped everyone here today. I wish you all the best and keep shining bright. And once again, I want to thank Professor Samantha and Mrs. Manu for joining with us today and for supporting us even to this day. They're just always so approachable, and I'm so blessed to be called one of their students, because they are some of the best lecturers, the best teachers that I have met in my life. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And thank you for all the staff members. We are a product of who they are. So thank you so much. And thank you, dear fellow alumni members, for joining today. And I also want to take this chance to thank SLIIT Business School alumni for your assistance in making this program possible today. And I finally thank all of you for joining today's session. And I wish the very best and all of success to each and every one of you. So that's it, guys. Good night. Stay safe. And we will see you soon with another success story. Thank you so much.